Here is a test question which 90% students get wrong. Let's see the correct way of solving it. I am Anil Kumar. Welcome to my YouTube channel and the website Global Math Institute. Let me thank all the viewers and subscribers for watching my videos, posting excellent comments, and brilliant questions. So, one of the questions which I receive from students regularly is to find the phase shift. Now, phase shift is slightly confusing when we talk about the periodic functions, the trigonometric functions. So, to solve this issue, we have a set with four different questions, starting with very simple general equation, which is y equals to 3 sine 2x plus 40 degrees plus 3. You need to find the phase shift of this function and the 3 following it. Now, part B, C, D, as you move on, is slightly tricky. We'll discuss why some students get them wrong. The last one here, I've seen that 90% students get this wrong. Let's see, how do we fix this? Well, in case you want to learn from me, feel free to send an email on globalmathinstitute@gmail.com. Learn directly. This is your path to success. Now, so here are the four questions. I'd like you to pause the video, answer, and then look into my suggestions. So let's begin with the very first one. You also see a graph here, right? So I would like you to write equations for the given graph, right? So let's add this. Write equations for a given graph. Well, you can write at least four equations, sine, cosine, and with their negatives for a given graph. So try this out, okay? So let's move on. Let's take up the very first question, which is we need to find the phase shift for this function, which is y equals to 3 sine 2 x minus x plus 40 degrees plus 3. So in general, you know, the phase shift is dependent on this inside argument x plus 40 degrees. And clearly, there, most of the students get this answer right. It is 40 degrees to the left. Or you can also say minus 40 degrees, correct? So that is the phase shift for the very first question, and most of you get it right, and so that's not an issue. Perfect. So phase shift is, so when I write a general function as y equals to a sine k x minus p plus q, then phase shift is basically p, right? So we are looking for this value of p in such an equation, right? Now let's move on and get to the next question, which is y equals to 2 cos 2x minus 30. Now some students get this answer wrong. And the reason for this is, can you tell me what? Well, the reason is that you forget to factor out the inside 2. So we have 2 cos. You need to factor this 2 out, right? So when you factor, you get x minus 30 degrees. Now you should compare with the equation. You remember the general equation is y equals to a. You can write in cos terms also. K is factored out, right? X minus p plus q. So do you see this k being factored out? So that is kind of important. You could have written 60, right? Which was a wrong answer. So in this particular case, the correct answer is 30 degrees right. Perfect. So that is what the right answer is. You could write plus 30 degrees also. Perfect. So it is making sense to you, right? Perfect. So most of the time we are given these kinds of equations, and now we are getting into the two equations which trouble many students. So we have y equals to minus 2 sine x plus 60. Now, what is the phase shift here? Now, if you're thinking that the phase shift is minus 60 degrees, let me write 60 degrees here. In that case, this is a wrong answer. And that's what most people do. Well, think about it. It is written minus, right? So phase shift, we are always comparing with the equation y equals to sine x. Sine x means that the wave starts from the axis. You get the idea? The wave starts from the axis going up. Now, if I have minus 2 sine x plus 60, it really means what? It means that the graph is actually like this. You understand, right? So, graph is actually like this. Now, if I draw the axis, in that case, I know this point here because let us say this point here is 60 to the left, right? This is at minus 60. And the wave is going downwards, right? You get the idea. This is minus 60, 0, right? Wave is going. But actually, the sine wave starts from which point? Sine wave starts from here. You get the idea. Means 180 degrees of the cycle, which is half the cycle. You get the idea, right? So in this case, we have to provide the solution where the sine wave is actually going up from the axis. So if I add 180, this point will be at 120 degrees. You get the idea. And this, where it ends, is 300. So this is the sine wave, which actually shifted 60 degrees to the left, and we wrote minus 60 since it was moving downwards. So actual phase shift is 120 right. So the answer here is 120 degrees plus or 120 degrees right. You get the idea. So that is where it goes wrong most of the time. I hope it makes a lot of sense to you. Well, in case you want to learn from me, send an email on the address and avoid all such mistakes. Now, here's the last question for you. I'd like you to treat this as your test question, right? So let me write down here test question. Take a moment to answer this. And remember, we have minus cos, right? So that means we are thinking about cosine wave starting from minimum, not from the maximum, right? And this point, which is the minimum point, occurs at which point? That think about it. But you need to figure out where is this particular point. And that gives you the phase shift because cosine function starts with the maximum. Perfect. So, a couple of things which you need to do before we get into this solution. First is factor out 2, right? We learned that part, right? So, we factor out 2, we get x plus 15 degrees, right? Plus 30. So, now it does say that minus 15 is where it starts, right? So, this point is minus 15 minimum. And what is going to be the minimum in this case? Minimum is going to be minus 3, right? Minus 3 plus the amplitude of 1, correct? So plus 3, sorry. So the minimum has to be from 3, you have to take out minus 1. So it is going to be 2. Perfect. In this particular case, axis is at plus 3, right? So let me just draw the axis here. This is at y equals to 3. Amplitude being 1, so we have gone 1 unit down. So at minus 15, it is this. Now look here. The answer should be starting from this particular place, which is half wave on the right, correct? Now, to get the right answer, you should know what is the time period for this. Since 2 is there, k value, so the time period will be 360 divided by 2, which is 180 degrees, right? Since the whole cycle from here to here is 180, right? Let me write t. So in this case, this will be half of this cycle, right? So basically what you need to do is to minus 15 add 180, half of this cycle, right? So half of T 80 will be 180 will be 90 degrees. Correct. I mean, I have to write half here. So basically, it is from 15 degrees to plus 90 that you get this point, right? So this point is at where 90, right? You add to minus 15, right? And then you get your answer, right? 75 degrees. So it'll be actually maximum 3 plus 1, 4, right? So the maximum will be at 75 degrees. And that is where the cosine function really starts. And therefore, the answer will be for this particular wave 75 to the right. You get the idea. So, I hope it is making sense. So, once again, when we are looking into the phase shift of these questions, whenever you have negative, in that case, do not write down directly the answer. You have to add half of the time period, right? Half of the time period. I'm writing 1/4 here. You have to add half of the time period to get the right answer. Then it is absolutely correct. Otherwise, it will land up in problems, right? You lose marks for that. Now, coming back to our equation for the given graph, I like you to think about it and write down the equation for the given graph in both sine and cosine. That's where we are going to end. I hope it makes sense. Feel free to write your comments, share your views. If you like or subscribe to my videos, that'd be great. Thanks for your time and all the best.